God is love. I want to wish you a happy Sunday. Hope everybody's doing well. I always love it when I get a weekend and especially a Sunday to myself where I can get into some messages. Watched a good sermon today and feel like it really inspired me to go live in the group with the message I want to discuss today. It's very near and dear to me. It's message of today is helping people who need it the most. And by that, I typically mean people that in many instances we would be quick to judge or quick to say that person's messed up so many times they don't need our help, or say that, this person's been into drugs, or this person's broken the law, or this person's cheated on their husband or wife, or this person's just completely fell off the edge. And I think those are people at the end of the day that truly need God's help the most. The way that I apply that in my own life is, I don't know how many of you know this, but my parents a few years ago were murdered by a street gang. So, I have a lot of reason to be upset and be angry, and rightfully so, but the kind of people I try to help and minister to are people that come from those walks of life, those people that are at risk to join gangs or at risk to go down that same path. I want to do everything I can to prevent them from becoming the people that did that to my family and did that to me. And I feel like the best way to do that is to apply the message that I have for you today, and that's to show love to people and show God's forgiveness instead of trying to judge and cast them off, because at the end of the day it could push them further down a path that they can't recover from. And that really is the basis of what I want to discuss today. So there's three aspects to in my mind, helping people who need it the most. God bless you, Debbie. Thank you. The first is we can't judge. So that's what I'm going to start out with. The second point is we got to celebrate the good days and breakthroughs that they have. And then I'm going to close on bad days. We need to show love and pray. So those are the three things that I'm going to touch on today. The first one with do not judge. That's a tough one. A lot of times when we want to help people, who maybe have issue with drugs or maybe have an issue with relationships, the first thing a lot of people say, well, wow, I'm glad I'm not them. I'm glad I don't have to deal with that. That's a dangerous way of thinking. I guess in my own life, when I wanted to try to help people from, backgrounds with gangs and stuff, I could have said, well, I don't want to help them. They're and find all these reasons as to why I shouldn't care and why I shouldn't want to make a difference. That's the first mistake many people make, is judging. And that's very dangerous, to judge somebody. You could miss out on an opportunity to truly save someone and lead them to Christ if you choose to judge, or you choose to say, this person's only allowed to make a certain number of mistakes before I give up on them. That's the biggest mistake that you can make, because God never gives up on us. And there's a great verse on that. It's Luke 6:37, and I'm just looking at my notes over here. It says, judge not, and you will not be judged. Condemn not, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. So it even says in the Bible that to receive forgiveness from God, we have to be willing to forgive others. So if we're going to try to help people that go through the darkest days, the first thing we can't do is we can't judge them. We got to be willing to love them and accept them, because believe me, there's no shortage of people in society that have judged them. And a big reason of that is why they've become so distant and felt like, there's nobody there that truly wants to help them and see them succeed. So we got to be willing to stand up to that and say, look, I'm not going to judge you. The second thing I want to talk about is celebrate the good days. A lot of times when we're trying to help somebody that's made a lot of mistakes, we'll say, hey, good job if they do something well, but immediately it's when they make a mistake or when they slip up, which in my experiences with people I've tried to help, they'll have good days and bad days. A lot of times they'll have a good spurt, and then some things will happen, and they might fall back of where they were before. But that's why it's so important to celebrate the good days and the breakthroughs that they have, because it's harder for them a lot of times to have those good days. And we got to realize how great it is when they do have a good day and when they do have a breakthrough, instead of just focusing on all the negative or focusing on mistakes they've made. And that's something I'm still learning to do with one of my friends. You know, he's really turned his life around and done a lot of awesome things. And I think a lot of times I'm too quick to say, well, you need to work on this now, or you really need to do better in this area, when I should be grateful of how far he's come, and how proud of him I truly am. You know, I like to think that we kind of have a big brother, little brother relationship, and you know, I really need to tell him more how proud I am of him and how awesome I think it is with some of the things that he's decided to do in his life and some of the things that he's decided to leave behind. So that's big when we're trying to help people that are falling on rough times. We truly got to let them know that we're proud of them when they do make these breakthroughs in their lives. And there's a great verse on that. It's Hebrews 10:24 through 25. And let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together as in the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near. So there it is in the Bible. It says we should get together in fellowship and build each other up and encourage one another in our good deeds. It's especially important when we're trying to help the people who tend to deal with the most issues, who are in the darkest places. We truly got to show them that there is light in the world. And then there's one more thing I wanted to cover. You know, there is going to be slip-ups. There is going to be days where, you know, all the progress we've made, it might feel like that they just took 2 steps back for every step forward that they've taken. And all of us are guilty of that. You know, it's easy for us to look at people who have a lot of problems in their lives and say, wow, you know, I may make mistakes, but I didn't do that. Well, you know, that mistake is a part of their life and stuff they've had to deal with. And who are we to say that mistakes we have are not as bad as yours? I mean, we all fall short of the glory of God. We all sin. And when people are trying to help do take a step back, it's then more than ever that we need to be willing to show love and show prayer instead of judgment. And I think that's where a lot of great foundations get destroyed, is when we're trying to help somebody and they've done so well for a certain period of time, and then they make a mistake or they take a step backward. We get upset. We feel betrayed. We feel like, well, how can you do this? I taught you better. It goes back to the first point that I brought up. We can't judge, and we truly have to pray and show love during those times, because it's usually during those times that person really wants to change and really realizes how much that you care, and most importantly, how much that God cares for them and loves them. So there's a great verse on that too. It's James 5:16. So it says, therefore confess your sins to one another and pray for one another, that you may be healed. The prayer of a righteous person has great power, and it is working. So that's what we should do when people we care about, people we're trying to help, make mistakes. We shouldn't make them feel like terrible people. We shouldn't judge them. We shouldn't bring them down to a low place. We should show them love, and we should pray for them, because the Bible tells us that the prayers of a righteous person can resolve anything. And that's what I want to close on. It is possible to help people from very dark places, and people who are dealing with problems that we feel like we shouldn't be associated with or we shouldn't be near, but it's really those people that need help the most. And that's a big reason why I want to try to reach people who are at risk youth or involved in gangs and stuff like that whenever I can. You know, I have a very good reason to say, you know what, these people ruined my life. I never want to be around it again. But fortunately, God has taught me that's not the right way to think. To really lead people to Him and really prevent those situations from happening again. I need to be willing to show love and forgiveness instead of judgment and bitterness. And that's something I encourage us all to do. There's a powerful statement I want to close on, that you're never as close to God as you are when you're willing to help those who are most lost and lead them back to Him. And I think we all have the ability to do that we all have the ability to make a difference. And we all have the ability to show people that God does love us, and His love can be an example through you. So I hope you take this message today and it encourages you to not judge some people that many other people may judge, but instead want to help them and lead them back to Christ. God bless. Hope you have a great weekend, and thanks for listening.